Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at testmiles.com.
Keeping you connected to the automotive world, you're listening to Test Miles, America's automotive radio show. We'd like to thank you for being part of this show and the Automotive Nation. For more fun facts about cars, go to our Twitter and Test Miles account. By the way, live on Periscope and live right now on Facebook. If you go to the Test Miles page on Facebook or you go to my account on Periscope, you can see Test Miles live. You can see all these ugly mugs in the studio and the back of my head. Jen, what's our fun fact?
Thank you, Nick. Per Aston Martin, the DB1 began in 1948. The DB stands for David Brown, who's the owner, and only 15 were made.
There you go. There's a lot more made now of these. Brad, what have you been driving this week?
Well, I got my dream vehicles, a minivan. And so I drove the Honda Odyssey. It's limited dreams. You set your bar really low. But
except with your wife.
Yes, that's right.
Where you set your bar really
very
high. Well, I just saved your marriage right there. I just want you to know that.
But so when there's a big competition in this category, so you've got the new Pacifica, the Sedona, the Sienna. There's a lot of choices. And when the most talked about feature in your vehicle is a vacuum cleaner, that is not really what you're looking for.
This is a show for car guys.
I know. But the interior was great. I mean, everything worked fine. The folding, extra cargo space, all of that was terrific. And the safety, it's a top safety pick. Rear view cameras. I mean, we love Honda's turn signal cameras and all of that. But exterior wise, it reminded me a little bit more of the Quest, which is somewhat a backhanded compliment, I guess.
They did call the Quest the man van when it came out, by the way, so you should feel more comfortable.
It was a little manly looking on there. But the thing that you need in a minivan are all the features. And in the base models, the first 2 or 3 levels that Honda's famous for, it came pretty stark. And the features that you really need with the automatic lift gates and all of the other features did not come in that. So you could start with an LX at $29,400. But you can make your way all the way up in a Touring Elite at $44,875.
Don't you think it's ironic that when you have kids and when you get married, most people have very little money, and that's when you need all the features, when you have little babies and shopping. But when you can afford one is the least time that you need it, right? The world's backwards. The world is messed up. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I just, to finish off, it was really nice to drive. I mean, it was not a sports car. It's not supposed to be. But with its 248 horsepower, 6-speed automatic transmission and the V6, it drove great and really quiet inside. But it's just it's kind of in the middle for me of that packed minivan market now.
You are such an easy dad to satisfy. I can't imagine your kids have any trouble on Father's Day. If it's someone that would be happy with a minivan, you're probably one of the easiest dads
to buy.
But
for. It's the best expense to go back $10 a month so that my children can have their iPad Wi-Fi and they can get on Dude Perfect.
I know you probably already bought one.
Absolutely, in the break.
All right, let's get on with technology. As of today, Tesla have taken 325 pre-orders for their new Model 3. That has generated $325 million in deposits and $11.3 billion in potential income for Tesla. But at $325,000 per of the orders that have come in initially, there's some hard questions that have to be asked about Tesla. Could this potentially be a lot of trouble for their company? And if this venture fails? Bengt Halverson from Green Car Reports is here to give us some perspective on this. All right, Bengt, BMW sell 340,000 cars in the U.S. In a year. VW sell about 350,000 cars in the U.S. for a year. They've both been around for decades, and it's taken them decades to get to this. And we're saying Tesla is going to do this at the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018. How are they going to do this?
That's right. And another way to put this is, well, Honda only sells about 300,000 Civics a year in the U.S. So we're talking reservations for as many Civics as Honda sells in the U.S. a year. That's an astounding number. Tesla isn't even targeting that. They're targeting 500,000. It's astonishing. So they have so many hurdles yet to do. They have.
Here's a bit of more perspective. An average factory, let's say a factory like a Honda factory in the US, puts out a maximum of 240,000 cars a year. Maximum, everything, 240,000 cars a year. So they're going to at least need two factories the size of what Honda has, or the Kia has, or one of the other cars like Hyundai has. They're going to at least need two factories that size to be built within 2 years and at full production.
Yep. And so they're manufacturing their own batteries at the Gigafactory, the world's largest industrial footprint assembly facility outside of Reno,
right.
Which isn't completely finished, by the way. And then they're going to be assembling this car theoretically at Fremont, California, which is the former GM NUMMI plant, which they also haven't yet taken over the entire floor of and haven't yet outfitted with expensive tooling and everything that else that's needed for automotive manufacturing. And so you begin to see that there are tremendous hurdles yet to be done. And this, by the way, is in addition to what typically today it costs about $2 billion to develop a new car. And that's, depending on who you talk to in the industry, that's a conservative number.
Right.
But when you have a vehicle that's testing new battery packs, a vehicle that is using a body structure that they've developed from scratch, those costs are probably higher.
I feel in my heart like this Two and Tour is not making anywhere close to 4 right now when I do the addition. It just doesn't feel like this could physically happen. And we haven't even started talking about the vehicle. And you're talking about the vehicle. So first of all, I want this to be a success. Don't get me wrong. I want them to achieve this. I want them to revolutionize what we do in cars. But I also think this is a Disneyland fairy story. I can't see the evidence adding up to be a reality at this point. Right?
I do have another question, and I don't think my phone calculator went up this high. They still qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. Is that correct?
Well, that's going to be a key issue here, and
because I think it's $2 billion. Would that be the right number if they sell 325,000 vehicles at $7,500?
No, it's 11.1 billion, I think, or 11.3 billion. The money they're going to get from those, which is at 35,000. So it's not far off.
Elon Musk had a very confusing tweet about that. Yeah, he mentioned. I think he mentioned the $11.3 billion in potential income, but that was just taking a anticipated $42,000 sticker price average per vehicle.
And now you've hit the nail on the head.
And cranking through the numbers. But of course, a very small percentage of that vehicle, if any, is going to be actual, after the books are settled, profit.
Right, so. but you've hit the nail on the head, and this is the next thing I'm saying. Everyone's saying, why wouldn't I put my $1,000 down for a car that has all these autonomous features and this great screen? And I'm saying at $35,000, that's not the car you're buying. You're buying a base model. But it's like anything else. I can go in tomorrow and buy a brand new BMW for $28,000. But by the time I put everything on that car I want, I'm closer to $55,000. It's going to be the same with a Tesla. They can't do autonomous driving and all these things for $35,000, can they?
Well, they have, with careful language, they've promised that their autopilot active safety feature suite will be standard, and that how did they put it? That their cars will be supercharger capable.
Right.
So
capable being the key word.
So he was emphasizing that they won't charge extra for the act of supercharging, of fast charging, but maybe the hardware won't be enabled. So
right.
there may be some subtle differences like that'll come out with option packages.
I just don't believe that $35,000 is going to be the transaction price.
No. But you guys all have to admit, right, that you look at this car, you look at the specs, you look at 215-mile range, you look at, and that's a minimum, by the way. They would have options for higher range. You look at 0 to 60 in less than 6 seconds. You look at two trunks, more cargo space than any other car its size. It's about the size of a BMW 3 Series or Audi A4. You look at that incredible screen, and by the way, that isn't the final form interior that we saw at the reveal either. There's going to be like some kind of heads-up display, right. and Elon Musk keeps hinting some sort of futuristic interface, so it may not even have a normal steering wheel.
Right.
People are speculating it may have some paddle system or who knows.
But it looks amazing.
But you guys have to admit, you take a look at the car, you take a look at the features that they're proposing. You want one,
right?
You want it to happen.
I considered it. Don't think I didn't.
But at the same time, yeah, it could easily be argued that, yes, this is a cash grab. Yes, Tesla desperately needs this money to continue and to still be viable. The question is, though, that, this is a very small amount of what Tesla will need to develop an all-new car.
Right.
Where does the rest of the money come from? Is this a way of Tesla pointing out to a potential suitor down the line who might just buy their cars division that, hey, we've got this much interest in the model. This car is viable. It just needs more investment.
I will leave this on one note. The one note is that Elon Musk has been amazingly successful with companies when he has left them. So when he started PayPal, which was called X.com, it just did nothing. The second he left it, and he still had 11% shares in it, the PayPal went through the roof. He's done extremely well with companies when he's no longer in charge of them. So I wonder, I have to think that he's preparing this company for sale to a GM, or, he's just getting the company ready to show what it can be done. And then he's going to take his shares and let somebody take over. I want it to happen. Don't get me wrong. I really do want this to happen. But just 2 and 2 is not making 4. Banked, if we want to read more about your stuff on the Tesla 3, where do we go?
Definitely. Head over to Green Car Reports, and you can also catch some of the coverage at The Car Connection. But Green Car Reports is definitely where to go. And we have, you can probably see a Tesla story there every day.
Excellent, Bank. We love having you on the show. We've got to have you back to talk more about these subjects. Go and read Bank's stuff. When we come back, we'll talk to Peter from Mobile West about summer road trips, and we'll find out what product Ryan has been testing. All still to come on Test Miles, and we're still live on Facebook and Periscope. I'm Nick Miles.